Welcome back to another episode of Graham Sparkman with Graham Sparkman Music Production. I'm joined again here with my father, Farron Sparkman, to talk to you about vintage Rickenbackers. If you didn't happen to see the one that we just released, it was on the 1955 Rickenbacker 600 series combo, which is blonde with a black pickguard. We got to talk about the history of that guitar,
yes,
plug it in and play it a little bit, and give you guys an example of how it sounds. We talked about the specifications of the 600 series, specifically, and what makes that different from the guitar that we're just getting ready to talk about now, which is an 800 series guitar from 1957, also a Rickenbacker combo. This one, a different finish color. It's this kind of turquoise green with a gold pickguard and a beautiful gold nameplate there on the headstock, and some slightly different specifications, as I said. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to my dad, and we're going to talk about the 57 800.
Okay, this version of the combo that was produced between 54 and 59 was actually the third version of body thickness. Mm-hmm. The first ones were the thickest. Then they, in 56, had a transitional model that was a little thinner and had a different pickguard. And then in 57, they decided to make it even thinner and lighter, but it also was a true solid body by this time.
Okay.
Because it was thin, it wasn't going to be heavy. So this one is not hollowed out.
It's got a carved top.
It has a carved top, but it doesn't have the plate on the back, of course, because there's no access from the backside like on the thick ones that are hollowed out. But this is a solid body. Very unusual that a company would choose to go with two finishes, basically, and one being blonde, not unusual, and the second one being turquoise is very unusual.
Right.
They didn't go with a sunburst or a brown or a black or whatever. They did offer a handful, probably less than 10, of the either Fire Glow or Autumn Glow choices.
Okay.
But those were kind of one-offs.
Sure.
The real catalog shows that they came in blonde and turquoise.
Right.
And the turquoise ones are more rare, but it was a color I think that maybe F.C. Hall's wife liked, and they decided to go with it.
Oh, really? So she had some input.
And she had some other input she actually designed the very famous Rickenbacker truss rod cover.
Oh, okay.
The nameplate, which is iconic with all Rickenbackers, has been used since 54 to this day. That was her design. She drew it out on paper, and they've been using it ever since.
Wow. So it's just interesting to think that when this guitar rolled out in California, this would have been the same year that, 57 Chevys were rolling out, the fins on the back of cars, and
that's when all it was happening.
But
they went with the different pickguard design. This was the third design. That the first one was a small, almost Les Paul size and style.
Sure.
And then they went to a bigger pickguard in transition year 56. And this one was their third design, which comes out against the lower cutaway all the way.
Right.
And this one also has the chrome knobs on it. We talked about that earlier.
Yep.
3 different knobs were offered on combos, but by this time they were standardized to the chrome knobs that we see here, which were the exact same knobs used on their steel guitars.
Oh, interesting.
So their console steels had these exact same knobs. So they were selling quite a few of those steels in a time when they weren't really selling many electrics in the mid-50s. So these knobs were more plentiful to them, I'm sure, and that's why you see them here.
So probably the biggest thing that we need to talk about that makes the 800 series different from the 600 series is the fact that it's got 2 pickups, but probably no one would ever guess that just by looking at it.
I didn't know it. I didn't know it for a long time. It looks like it has the one horseshoe pickup, but it actually has 2 single coil pickups under the horseshoe. And that's what makes an 800, and that's why you have 2 toggles to switch on the second pickup.
And why they would have put 2 pickups side by side in the exact same location is,
I don't know,
kind of odd. But
they didn't stay with that thinking very long.
They moved the pickups around.
In that same year, they added a toaster pickup in the neck position and called that the 850.
Oh, I see.
In fact, I think there were a few 800s before the 850. Mm-hmm. 850 had a different cutaway design.
Sure.
There was a few 800s that had a neck pickup. So it was all transitional.
Right.
They were all evolving what they did, and obviously it was a better mix of sounds to have two pickups in two locations.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's really interesting. And these kind of, I don't know what you call those blocks. They're almost like
All of them came with a chrome or gold anodized bridge cover.
a cover. Yeah.
So this one is missing the cover, as are many of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that it just snapped into place that way.
Right. And they remind me so much of ones I've seen on Rickenbacker bases as a thumb rest that would have been used.
Looks just like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe
exactly.
they were reusing those parts later down the line on some bases.
And there's no way you're going to see this on camera today, but with the naked eye, you can see, if you just take a picture of this guitar or look at it on this video, I'm sure it looks to be jade green.
Right.
But that's not accurate. Actually, this particular guitar, because of ultraviolet or smoke in the room, has aged a little bit, I'm sure. And it's gone from a real turquoise, a blue-green, to a jade green on the front. But if you look at it on the sides and on the back, you really won't pick this up on the camera, I don't think. But you can see, if you really look at it in good lighting, that it has more of a turquoise look. And that's the true original color.
Is that because of it being in the case?
Yeah, I think.
And the top being more exposed
I think
to
all those things
or?
are factors. And age just changes the color of guitars, including the blondes.
Of course, right. And everything on this guitar, as with the 1955 that we recently reviewed, 100% original. Nothing's been altered. And you picked this guitar up in what year?
I got this guitar in '88, as I did the other one we talked about.
Same year.
Same year. But this one came from a dealer in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And the original owner had traded it in shortly before I found out about it.
Okay.
Or they let me find out about it because they knew I was looking for a combo. And somebody in the San Francisco Bay Area traded this guitar in. They were the original owner.
Okay.
Somehow the case had gotten lost or destroyed or whatever, so I didn't get the original case with this particular one.
Sure.
But it was so good to know that you were actually the second owner of a guitar that was that old and rare.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's one combo, which we're not talking about today, that you got where you were the first owner of.
Oh, yeah. Well, technically that's true because it was in the factory warehouse and unsold.
In its box that was intended to.
It was just one of those, there were very small numbers and they sold them as they got orders for them, basically.
Sure.
But that one survived a long time in a box.
Yeah.
And I think I got that one in '89, but yeah, that also, like this one, is a thin body 57.
Okay.
Solid body, but it's a 600.
And it's blonde.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's got a gold pickguard?
Yeah, it's just like this.
Just like that,
yeah,
but blonde.
It's blonde.
Yeah, got it. Now, the fretboard is a different wood, or it's the same wood, just a different stain compared to the 600 series?
Earlier ones have it. They're all rosewood boards with maple necks, but these in the 57 and 58 era have a lighter brown look. The other's a dark brown look, rosewood, but it's the stain on it.
It's just the stain.
Yeah.
I see. And you pointed out to me earlier that it's not a combo if it doesn't have the 3 dots.
Every combo that I have ever seen that has not been tampered with or messed with should have 3 dots, 3-dot markers on the 12th fret.
And that's why you don't consider, that's one of the reasons you don't consider tulip shapes to be in the combo line.
Right.
Because they have
really, they are considered part of the combo line, but they're not this kind of combo that we're talking about.
Sure.
That have this shape, the 3 dots, the horseshoe pickup. All of these things are unique to the 600 and 800.
Right.
And then the 850 was part of that run too.
Exactly. When you got this guitar in 1988, and you plugged it in and played it, did you feel like having more pickups, even though they're in the same position, and more options with selector switches really put you ahead compared to the 600? Okay.
No.
So it wasn't doing that much?
No, to me, no. They probably tried to sell it that way in the 50s.
Well, that was going to be...
It was more tonal variety, but I didn't buy into that too much.
Yeah, and how much more would you have paid in 57, for a 800 versus a 600?
Not much, but the price guide I can't really get that right. But
sure.
I've seen the original price guides, and there's not much of a difference there.
And did they make less of the turquoise ones compared to the blonde ones?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that. I think that they were even fewer of those.
I'd say the blonde is about 4 times more common.
But we're still talking very low numbers overall.
Yeah, very. Right? And if, like I said earlier, if that wasn't the truth, more of them would be out there turning up in dealers' hands and being, bought and sold.
Right. And bands playing them and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and I worked kind of closely on the research and in conversations with Richard Smith, who did the initial book that was one of the most definitive histories of Rickenbacker that had been done up until that date.
What was the name of that book?
I think it was The History of Rickenbacker.
Okay.
But he was a good writer, and he was a guitar man and had a lot of knowledge, and he had gained the right by the company to go through the records and see the invoices. And,
sure.
And I got a real firsthand look at the vintage history with their photographs, their literature, the invoices. And of course, not every guitar was invoiced.
Right, of course.
But as I said earlier, certainly those ones that he listed were invoiced. And that we know that those were made. And he told what color they were and what year they were produced and all that sort of thing. And that's not to say that's the definitive answer on production, but it's also not to be misled to think that, they made 300 of those. That didn't happen.
Exactly, yeah.
So.
And as we've mentioned before, just like look at YouTube, look at the bands that are out there. If they had made, hundreds and hundreds of these, they'd be
a lot more common.
Exactly. Or on Reverb, for selling.
Exactly.
One thing about the neck I wanted to point out, so it's a slightly different construction compared to the 600 neck.
It is. With the fingerboard extends, really unusual in a way past the neck.
Let me see if I can hold that up to the camera there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if I took shots of that, but you can kind of see how the fingerboard, or maybe you can't, extends beyond the neck itself.
Yes. Yeah, it does extend there. So that's kind of unusual.
But the action on the guitar and the playability of the guitar and the tone you were satisfied with from when you first started playing it in 88?
Yeah, it's a very playable guitar. Like I mentioned earlier, I just chose not to really play it very often out. I remember the dealer that I bought this from that was in San Francisco. He said, I'm going to play it some. He said, I played it last night in a club in San Francisco, I mean, I'm sure super careful with it. It was a rare guitar, but that's what guitars are for. They should be played. I don't think they're works of art that need to be locked under glass.
Yeah.
But you got to be protective of them and not abusive. So
right.
There should be a happy medium there.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention that these guitars, people kind of forget that these were actually built in Los Angeles.
Right.
Not in Santa Ana.
Okay.
The company, my understanding, is transferred to Santa Ana in 1962.
Okay.
So the modern era, if you want to call it that, all of the more modern guitars were produced in Santa Ana, but all these combos were made in Los Angeles.
Interesting. Any other thoughts that you have about it, or memories of getting it, playing it? Anything you want to share? Any interesting stories?
The only people that seem to be trying to accomplish what I was doing in seeking these out and sending letters to every dealer in the country and pictures and trying to find these things was a small group of collectors in Japan.
Right.
And they, to this day, are very involved in collecting not just combos, but older vintage Rickenbackers.
Sure.
So they had that love for it at that time early on. So I was always trying to beat them to the punch if I could find one before they did, because it was going to leave the country if they got a hold of it. So that was all. Other than that, I felt like I was kind of the Lone Ranger in this pursuit.
Right.
There was a big following of getting the early 12 strings initially, and there was a pretty substantial market for vintage basses. But like I said, most people didn't even know they made these.
Right.
600 and 800s until the books came out in different sources. So.
Sure. And speaking of books, I know I mentioned it in the last video. I want to do it again.
Okay.
This book, we're not endorsed by them, by the way. This book is Rickenbacker Guitars Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Fire Glow. It's just an amazing book. It covers so much history, not just about combos, of the whole, vintage Rickenbacker line. And every single page is just filled with gorgeous. I mean, this could be like a coffee table a book.
Yes.
Photographs.
Great color photographs, great detail in the text.
So Google this, try to find it. If I can come up with a link, I'll link it in the description below, because for you serious vintage Rickenbacker enthusiasts out there, you would really want to pick up a copy of this. It's kind of amazing. Beyond that, if you didn't check out the episode that we recently shot on the 1955 600 series, I'm going to link that below, as well as the one that we did on the 1956 400 series tulip shape. I'll link that below. A lot of links. And we're going to take a minute now just to plug this thing in and hopefully give you guys a sample of how it sounds. So stick around for that. Another big thanks for my dad for coming out to review all of these combos with me. It's just been a ton of fun to talk about the history and these super rare guitars. This is Graham Sparkman for Graham Sparkman Music Production, signing off.